Hey everyone, I just made my report based on a spreadsheet of the financial plan for the Carson Raiders Chargers NFL Stadium. At first, I was going to go into detail about the spreadsheet assumptions and all that, but you can read about that in a link below. I'm just going to cut to the chase and say that this stadium is going to price out the common Raider fan and the common Charger fan, and it's going to be placed in an untested region, the LA Basin area, that hasn't seen NFL football since 1994, since the year of the OJ Bronco chase, right? Which you saw on television as a documentary. So, this attempt, I have to ask, what's it really all for? Why is it that it's so important for the NFL to go into Los Angeles? It's not really the most economically expensive region. It's not, let's put it this way. While its unemployment was at 7.4% in June of this year, it fell to 5.7%. You would say, well, that's great. But then get this, the LA Basin has the highest underemployment rate of any region in the country at 24%. That means roughly one out of every four people has a job that's paying less than a livable wage. That's scary. And so into this climate where entertainment jobs, the linchpin of the LA economy, or one of the major linchpins of the LA economy, have left for places like Atlanta, Georgia, and places in Virginia, where the once powerful defense industry sector has had to deal with outsourcing competition. You're going to tell me that you can pencil out a $2 billion stadium, the most expensive in NFL history, with personal seat licenses, the average cost would be $15,000 or greater. With luxury boxes, the average would be $200,000 or greater. And you're going to tell me that you're going to have a 30-year bond issue and expect robust numbers each year for those 30 years in an area known for a populace with fickle taste when it comes to sports entertainment? That just makes absolutely no sense at all. The NFL really has to ask itself why it's so important to quite literally decimate fan bases, current good fan bases, for a dream based on a financial plan that can only be backed by faith. It really can. Because here's the problem. In my spreadsheet, I priced the stadium at $2 billion. The reality is that stadiums of this type don't come in without a few change orders. Well, that total up to $500 million for NFL stadiums in the 21st century, at least to 2010 when the analysis was made. That means in the Carson case, we're talking about a stadium that could clock in at $2.3 billion. The higher you go in the total cost for the stadium, the higher the prices have to be, and the more fans are going to have to cough up. And everyone says, oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be, you know what? Faith is a great thing. I believe in God. I have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. But I don't have faith in projects that I can eyeball and tell you that's more expensive than a region can afford, especially when it's the 17th largest region in terms of economic power. And the National Football League is basically giving one of its teams, Oakland, the opportunity to leave the richest region in the country for the 17th richest, which makes absolutely no sense at all. None. So what's this really all about? Is it because maybe ABC Cap Cities is saying to the NFL, you have to have a team in LA in order to get a bigger contract for the next go-around? If that's the case, I submit that the National Football League does not know how to look at a region in a 21st century way. Media has changed dramatically. LA is not the region it used to be. And so to do this project, to allow this project to go forward, could really wreck the league in ways that it hasn't considered with respect to its fan base. Maybe that's okay. Perhaps the NFL feels it can really take that risk when the greater reward from its point of view is a larger TV deal. But I doubt that. Even TV, first, just as a momentary aside, fewer and fewer people, are watching television. It's spread out. They're watching YouTube and other areas. It's changed. Let me say this. The Bay Area is the best place for the National Football League. It's the center of tech. The NFL needs to change how it thinks about media and how it thinks about gaining money from media to embrace a 21st century approach. That's really what's at hand here. The LA situation is not going to work. You can't go home again. And not only that, the homes that NFL teams are in, frankly speaking, they aren't so bad. And I think if the NFL takes a hard look at this, they'll realize that. In fact, I'll say this, I think they have. I think the staff has. This is driven by the owners. But I think the NFL staff really gets it. But the owners have this idea born because Donald Sterling sold the Clippers, or rather was forced to sell the Clippers, and Steve Ballmer came in and bought them for $2 billion. And someone said, well, on my YouTube channel, someone commented, well, the Clippers were worth $2 billion. They were sharing their stadium with the Lakers. Yeah, but imagine if the Clippers had their own arena, not stadium, okay? I can make a strong argument for the claim that Steve Ballmer actually got the Clippers at a bargain for $2 billion, considering what the Clippers don't have. Now, that aside, the Raiders building in Oakland would make them, because they would own the stadium, or at least own it with a stadium authority, would make them valued at up to $3.1 billion. They would arguably be worth more in Oakland, if they remained, than moving to LA. Not just because of the obvious ownership difference, but also because of how the fan base is going to be hampered by having to deal with this sudden sticker shock. You have two problems the Raider fans have to deal with. First, sticker shock. Then, distance shock, because you're asking them to go down to LA from Oakland when the fan base here has been established in Oakland. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Chargers have a little bit of a better deal to work with, but consider. And the Chargers really should note this. They've had problems with sellouts and blackouts in San Diego. What makes them think their situation is going to be any better just a few miles up north? There's nothing to indicate that's going to be the case. Check out what I wrote.